I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And when I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God." Jumping down now to verse 6, he said to me, "It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give water without cost from the spring of the water of life. Those who are victorious will inherit all these, and I will be their God, and they will be my children." Focal verse, verse 8. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the adulterers, and all the liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. And then Isaiah chapter 6 verse 8 says, "Then I heard a voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And whom will go for us? And I said, Lord, here am I. Send me." Amen. Amen. I want to talk about cowardice, courage, and the call. Cowardice, courage, and the call. The great American poet, social activist, and literary architect of the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes, poses the most peculiar question in his famed 1971 poem entitled Harlem. Hughes says, "What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it shags like a heavy load, or does it explode?" Though Langston Hughes is undoubtedly addressing the ills of race, class, and social oppression, even still as we gather here during this time of learning and spiritual discernment, Langston's question still rings throughout these sacred halls. What really happens to a dream deferred? What happens to a gift undeveloped? What happens to a vision unfulfilled? What happens to a big idea never explored? What happens to hope unfulfilled, purpose unchallenged, fear unconquered, intimidation unmet? What happens to a call gone unanswered? Yes, what happens to those who are called to be courageous and are sidelined by cowardice? Here in Revelations, the 21st chapter, John tells us of a magnificent vision of the things to come. The idea of heaven and earth are not unfamiliar biblical images, for they both are represented in both the Old and the New Testament, but none ever so fully and brilliantly described than by John here in Revelation. Here in Revelation, the 21st chapter, John tells us of a place where the glory and majesty of God shall reign forever. In verses 1 through 7, John describes his vision of the New Jerusalem as a place where joy is unceasing, adoration is overflowing, peace is never faulting, praise is never ending. What a marvelous vision. And then John goes on. In verses 9 and on, John details the dimensions of this great city. For John describes the foundations and the walls and the gates being greater than the palace of Versailles, which sits in the countryside of Paris, greater than the forbidden city which rests at the center of Beijing, greater than the villas and land canals of Venice, greater than the ancient cities of Carthage and Thebes and the great promenades of Greece and Rome, greater than the African fortified kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Ethiopia, and with vivid detail, like Michelangelo's ceiling in the Sistine Chapel, or Vermeer buildings like Madonna and Child. John paints for us his vision of this masterpiece of the glory to come. But wedged right here between verses 1 and 7, and before the glories of the verses of 9 through 27, before we get too swept away with the promises of this great heavenly reward, John establishes the qualifications for entry. The unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic tricks, they will be consigned. Wow. The fiery lake which burns with sulfur. Look, beloved. Look what unfortunate group leads the way. The cowardly. Right there with the unbelieving, right here with the vile, and good company with the murderers. Right in line with the sexually immoral, right here with those who practice magic, are adulterous, those who are prone to lies. John says, yes, the cowardly shall not into the city. Yeah. John is not speaking here of natural timidity.